Students, please settle down fast. Our guests have arrived. Students, please settle down fast. Students at the back, please maintain silence. Students at the back. Sandhya madam, will you please regulate those students? Students, please be seated. Students, please be seated. GRSS volunteers, please ask the students to maintain silence and settle down. I think we have surplus of students here. The surplus students can have the seats at the side stage. There are some chairs kept at the side chair. You can occupy them. Hello. Students, please maintain silence. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good morning, all. A warm welcome to the much awaited program, a lecture, Somaiya Public Lecture Series, which is initiated by our own Vice Chancellor, Dr. N. Rajashekaran Pillai sir. And we are having this event. Actually, it was planned in August, and because of rains, it had to be postponed. And we are having it today. And it is a coincidence that today we are having IEEE, GRSS, and IEEE Day. So we are fortunate to have this lecture on the same day. Sir, I welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. V. N. Rajashekaran Pillai sir, Dr. Surya Durbha sir, who is HOD and Professor of CSRE Department, IIT Bombay. He is a pioneer in geospatial technology. And I also welcome our principal sir, Dr. Vivek Sunnapawar. I welcome all the faculty and students from Somaiya Vidya Vihar who have come here to specially attend this lecture. Thank you for coming. And I also welcome all our HODs, deans, students, teaching and non-teaching faculty for this program. So a hearty welcome. As per our tradition, I would like to first request all the guests to occupy the stage. Welcome, sir, again. So as per our Somaiya tradition, we'll start our program with our Somaiya campus prayer, followed by the Maharashtra Geet. So I request all of you to rise for the prayer. Students, please we have a Maharashtra Geet followed by our prayer. So please rise.
सह्याद्रीचा सिंह गर्जतो शिवशंभू राजा दरी दरीतून नाद गुंजला महाराष्ट्र माझा जय महाराष्ट्र माझा गर्जा महाराष्ट्र माझा काळ्या छातीवरी कोरली अभिमानाची लेणी उन्हात शिजला निढळाच्या घामाने भिजला देश गौरवासाठी झिजला दिल्लीचेही दस्तला
Thank you all. You can be seated. Now I will ask our principal sir, Dr. Vivek Sunnapava sir, to give a welcome note.
Good morning, one and all. Today's special guest and speaker, Dr. Surya Durbha, Dr. Rajasekharan Pillai, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Somaiya Vidya Vihar University, my esteemed colleagues, faculty, staff, and dear student friends. So as stated, Somaiya Public Lecture Series, which was devised, coined by none other than our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, 7 years ago. And we have a tradition of calling eminent and very learned speakers. So we have seen Nobel laureate speaking in this Somaiya Public Lecture Series. And today, we are very fortunate to have Dr. Surya Durbha, who is a very eminent person, faculty, and a big name as far as geospatial domain is concerned. Dr. Durbha has a great career. When we see that there is a mad race to go to US and settle down there, but Dr. Surya, a green card holder, okay, gave up and came back to our great country. So that makes, I think, really him very special here. Okay, so the knowledge he is imparting, and he's really making younger generations, okay, knowledgeable in this particular area. We are really grateful to Dr. Pillai, Vice Chancellor, because he always encourages and supports such activities. And this is a maiden Somaiya public lecture which is organized by KJ Somaiya Institute of Technology. So earlier we had one lecture, but that was, we were venue partners that time, but this is now fully organized by us. So we are grateful to Dr. Pillai for giving us an opportunity to have this public lecture here in our campus, and we assure, sir, that we'll have many more drawing from your inspiration and motivation. So once again, I welcome each one of you individually to this campus for Somaiya Public Lecture. Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you, sir, for giving the welcome note and also mentioning about our Vice Chancellor, sir, regarding the public lecture, and also Dr. Surya Durbha. I was not knowing that he is a green card holder. So this is a news for me. Thank you for giving the information. And now I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor, sir, to felicitate Dr. Surya Durbha, sir, with a small token of appreciation. The small gift we are giving is actually carved by our Girivanavasi Society of Palghar, which is supported by Somaiya Trust. Sir, this is a Ramakrishna Mission book. So we usually give it to most of our guests. Instead of giving the bouquets, we taking into consideration the sustainability factors, we have stopped giving bouquets and we have started giving saplings and books. Now I would request our beloved principal, Dr. Vivek Sunnapawar sir, to honor our Vice Chancellor sir with a small memento. Honorable Vice Chancellor sir is a very knowledgeable person, reads in all domains. So I think this would be the right way to honor him with a book.
So now I am going to talk.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Surely. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I am extremely glad to be here with Professor Surya Durbha, who has accepted our invitation to give the Somaiya University public lecture. This has been an activity of the Somaiya Vidya Vihar to start with, and Somaiya Vidya Vihar University continued for the last 8 years. Maybe more than almost 70 lectures have been conducted, eminent people from all walks of life, not only education institution, all walks of life. They used to come and share their knowledge and expertise and experience with the students. For the academic institutions, such type of interactions are very, very important. If you look at the premier universities or premier institutions all over the world, you will see that they get eminent people from different walks of life. They may not be professors, they may not be scientists, they may not be engineers, but they will come and interact and give their perception about the knowledge in their area, what is the public good about it. It's the very title of Professor Surya Durbha's, Surya Durbha's, originally I used to pronounce it as Durbha, but of course today I came to know that it is Surya Durbha. So the very title of his lecture is about geospatial data for public good. And it is very important that we should get a generalistic perception. Students should get a generalistic perception of all these things. And he's an expert in this area, worked in the Indian Space Research Organization, worked several years in the US, and he's an invited speaker all over the world and very distinguished scientist. I had occasion to interact with him ever since my vice chancellorship in the university. And one thing I have noticed is that his prescription on quality and of selecting teachers. We have been, in several selection committees. He believes that only by selecting the appropriate qualified teacher with conviction of courage and knowledge and skills and integrity, they should only be selected in the academic institution. That is one thing I have noticed. I have chaired several selection committees along with him. I could see that signature of quality in him. That is what I admire. Thank you very much, Professor Surya Durbha, for accepting our invitation to come over here. Usually in all public lectures, I am there. Today, probably somebody might have told that I'm not coming, but I was very particular that I should come here. So I came here, but I have sought his permission to go because I have two other important things which I had my earlier commitment, and then take a flight to Udaipur for some function. And I will be missing his physical lecture, but I have sought permission to see it through YouTube or something. Of course, I will take permission from you to go. Thank you very much. Let me congratulate Dr. Sunna Pawar and each and every faculty of this university for taking up initiatives. This is a very premier institution, premier engineering college, autonomous engineering college, which is going to be part of the Somaiya Vidyavihar University sooner or later. But the type of activities this college has been doing, for example, in collaboration with the Indian Space Research Organization and in satellite technology and several other areas. Students are very active participants. I used to meet some of the students who have contributed in such endeavors. And let me once again congratulate and appreciate the efforts taken by the principal, the former principal, and my faculty colleagues of this college, and the dear students for taking active participation in such activities. Once again, congratulations and best wishes to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Your words are always inspirational to us. We are very thankful to our Honorable Vice Chancellor for coming here in spite of his busy schedule. Sir, we are really grateful to you. And actually, we jumped the protocol a little bit. First, our principal, sir, had to address, but I think he welcomed. So without any delay, now I invite Dr. Surya Durbha, sir, to start his lecture. And before that, I would like to introduce, though sir is very, very humble, down to earth, I have interacted with him many times, and he never wants to actually express his awards and other credentials. He usually awards it, but I have to read it for you. So, sir is presently working as a professor and head in Center of Studies in Resources Engineering, CSRE, IIT Bombay, and he's actually a convener also of ISRO, IITB Space Technology Cell, and the chairman of Consortium on GIS and Geomatics India. So we actually requested him to address on the consortium specially, and he is a PhD from Mississippi State University and having research interests in geosemantics, knowledge-based systems, image information mining, cloud computing-based computational systems, remote sensing, geospatial standards, interoperability, and sensor webs. So he has many publications in journals, renowned journals, books to his credit, and also many conferences. He has been presided as well as been the reviewer of many conferences as well as journals. And he's actually, you can see his Google Scholar Index is very, very impressive, and he has also got some awards. First one is he and so Surya Durbha sir's team is felicitated with the NVIDIA Innovation Award in 2016 at the 23rd IEEE International Conference on High Performance Computing. That was a great research done on this topic, and also data and analytics for their work in the areas of image information mining and high performance computing. And he also got the award from the best faculty award of the prestigious Professor S.P. Sulakshani Award for Excellence in Teaching in 2022. So without any delay, sir, I request you to start your lecture. We'll be really grateful and honored to have this lecture in our college. Thank you.
So good morning, everybody. So I'm extremely happy, delighted to be here. Profusely thank Dr. Usha Chavan. Thank the management of Somaiya. Heartfelt thanks to the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajchakran Pillai, the principal of this college, and to all of you for having me here to talk on a very exciting area that is actually transforming our lives. So let's begin to look at what is this geospatial data and why it is so important that it is doing so many things for the public good. So I am Surya Durbha, Professor Head CSRE IIT Bombay. We'll go to the next slide, please. So can you switch off the light here, one light or two here, so that they can see properly? This light probably, this one. Or probably switch this one off, this is okay. Yeah. Switch off this one, you can keep this one. Okay, that also works. So I'm extremely delighted to talk to you about a subject that is very dear to me. So as you have seen, the pictures I am going to show you have got a lot of context related to public good. Why it is important for us to understand all this and how we can ourselves get involved and use it and bring some change in this society. So here is a picture that you are seeing, the night lights over India. See how amazing it is, how the India looks in the night. So these are the pictures taken from space, showing how the nightlife is there in India. So in 2012, if you see, and then 2023, the night lights have changed dramatically. It is telling about many things. It's not only just telling about the electricity power grid or the developments related to that, but it's also telling about the urbanization that is happening. It is also telling about the kind of patterns in which the urban growth is happening. So we are not only interested in looking at the daytime, but at night also, it is also giving us some information. It's also one of the inputs that goes into a land scan data developed from Oak Ridge National Lab, where they create this land scan data for population estimation using satellite data. One of the input data is to look at nighttime imagery. Next slide, please. And then here we are seeing how it is changing from 2012, 13, 14, 16, 20. We see a lot of changes happening all over India. And then imagine how this would look like on a Diwali night. Right? We also have those kind of pictures, but not in this lecture. Next slide, please. So, have you identified this? Are you able to relate this picture to anything? This is Mumbai. Mumbai at night. Yeah. Pictures taken from space, trying to understand how the Mumbai lights are there at night. You can see some really very bright lights at some places, clusters, and then there are uniform places, and then the road network all lit up during night. So it is not only conveying information about about the spatial thing, it is also telling about the different kinds of spatial patterns that exist. So this kind of analysis is possible only through understanding space, which I'm going to explain to you in a bit. Why geospatial? What do we mean by spatial? Spatialness means what? Next slide, please. So have you used geospatial data today? How many of you have used geospatial data today? Please raise your hands. So I'm sure all of you must have used it in some form or the other. You open your app, it is asking for location. Why suddenly all these apps want to know your location? Right? Because we have understood that by capturing location, we can give better useful insights to whatever is the query that the user is asking. So location is everything. Location has gained so much importance that understanding space, spatialness, anything related to the earth and location is now even more important. This technology is on top with other technologies. This geotechnology is on top with nanotechnology and other technologies now. So you can see, your routing applications, your Ubers, Olas, your food delivery, your weather, your bike routes. Everything has got some location. Can you imagine yourself without a location? Precisely I can pinpoint to you where you are seated right now with the location. But it is very hard to do it indoors. Outdoors, I would be able to do it because I've got a constellation of satellites, GPS satellites. Now India has its own constellation of satellites called the Navigation with Indian constellation of satellites. So that outside, so you get a signal from the satellites and you're able to make a position. But indoor here is not possible. There is no NAVIC or no GPS, nothing, you will not be able to capture it. But indoor positioning is also possible. You can do triangulation with your Wi-Fi devices, for example. You can have beacons that have got some fixed reference systems and then you create an indoor. So indoor positioning, indoor navigation, again location. So you're in an airport, you want to go from one place to another, there is no GPS. But there are other forms of navigation that is possible. Robotics. Without positioning, you cannot do anything. Self-driven cars is all about positioning. So in so many ways, we are accustomed to thinking about it doesn't work. That's okay, we can just. It's going. Works. No, it doesn't. Go back. Yeah, next slide. Next slide, please. So geospatial data is what is making all this happen. But what is this geospatial data? Geospatial data is any data that is connected to space. In this room, we've got space. But then I can extract many layers from this space that we have. For example, I can extract just the floor, one layer of information. I can extract all the chairs, one layer of information. Another layer of information is all the people sitting on the chairs. Then I can extract another layer of information, which is all the fans and lights. And then another layer, which is the ceiling. What you have just done? We have just created uniform representations of whatever is the space that is there, unique uniform representations that are homogeneous in nature. But what is the advantage of looking at this in a layered approach? So I can take the fans layer and then take a layer of all the people here, superimpose on each of them and tell who are these people who are sitting most comfortably in this room. So we know where the fans are, who are the people are there. Just by extracting layers, I can combine layers in the way I want. So the layered approach is very fundamental to geospatial understanding. So as you step out of this room today, as you look outside, everything is in the layered form. You have got your roads, you got the trees in another layer, you got the transportation in another layer, and then the utilities on the other layer. Everything is extracted in terms of homogeneous layered representation. The advantage is that I can take any layer I want at will and combine with other layers, do mathematical manipulations. For a simple set operations, I can use union, intersection, XOR, any of these operations to be able to find unique information to be able to, for decision making. So here are data that has been extracted from a real world. You've got the roads, land use, you've got boundaries, and then hydrography related to the water, rivers, channels, canals, and then elevation information. Elevation is related to measuring the height. So a lot of you must not have used GPS data for height measurements. But you can also get the elevation value so that you can create realistic three-dimensional representation of whatever you're looking at. There's a hill nearby you, and you can create a very accurate three-dimensional representation. But then the use of this three-dimensional representation is not just to look at as a pretty picture. I can make measurements on it. I can find out if I cut some volume of that, how much volume is there? I want to put a tunnel on it. I want to create a road on top of this hill. So I have to cut and fill somewhere. Precisely, without going there, without doing surveying, using the digital representation of it, I should be able to calculate these things, the volume of it. So the digital representations of the geospatial entity or the feature is very important first. So these days, digital twins have become very popular. Many of you must have understood or read about digital twins. Digital twins are there in many domains now. Power systems, electrical engineers, or they're all interested in having a digital representation, twin representation of all the utilities everywhere. Infrastructure, digital representation, twin. A twin is something which is in the digital form, not just capture the static information, but the processes are also linked with the digital representation. So that it's a live thing that you are seeing, but in a digital form, whatever is happening. And then you make changes on this digital twin and see what could be the repercussions, what would be and the things that can change in the real world. You don't do it on the real world, you do it on the twin. And then see how it is changing, then adapt it to the real world. So the digital twin representation is now very popular. But then the basic information comes from this layered approach. So many GIS or geospatial information systems, data layers. Next slide, please. So here is an example of something that is changing over time. You can see a slightly high resolution imagery on a coastal area where something is changing over a period of time. You can see what the changes are happening at that place. Next slide, please. And here is an example of something that is happening at a land cover information, means that which is naturally occurring. It could be water bodies, it could be vegetation, it could be related to your agriculture, crops, all these things that are occurring or that are changing over a period of time from 1992 to 2018. How much change has been done? How much forest has been cut and converted into agriculture? How much agriculture land has converted into residential or built up areas? All these kinds of change can be tracked using the geospatial information. So this is an example of a satellite data that has been used for the analysis. Next slide, please. So what we see here is that in this new era of smart cities, there are sensors everywhere. Cities become smart when you put sensors. specifically from a IoT perspective, Internet of Things. Everything you are thinking about, all smartness that is coming, indoor, outdoor, automation, everything is because of sensors. And these sensors are basically IoT-based sensors, Internet of Things. As you see here in this, if you're talking about, a smart grid and home energy management, traffic flow optimizations, then how do you route vehicles for logistics purposes, moving goods around networks? All these are based upon sensing systems. But the underlying connection to all of them is geospatial in nature. You cannot put a sensor without a geospatial location. You put a sensor somewhere, there is a latitude, longitude. High school, we all must have learned in geography about latitude, longitudes, grid system. You all remember or not? So we are talking about a three-dimensional representation of the Earth. And to look at ourselves, we have thought of the three-dimensional representation of the Earth as a spheroid or an ellipsoid, which has got a minor axis and a major axis. So you take an ellipse, rotate it over your minor axis, what you get is an ellipsoid. So this is the model we are thinking that how Earth looks like for our calculation purposes. So that I know what is the radius of the Earth, what is the major axis, minor axis, what is the flattening happening. Earth is not a perfect spheroid. But we have found out in the last 15 years only, imagine, by using gravimetric data, means gravity measurements from satellite. Imagine, can we measure gravity from space? We are doing that now. This comes under the science called geodesy. We are able to measure gravity from space, and based on the gravity measurements, we have now found out that Earth is not this nice, uniform kind of a spheroid. Earth is very lumpy in nature. The mass is unevenly distributed on the Earth. So if that is the model of the Earth, how do we look at ourselves? We don't have a nice geometric figure to do all our mathematics on top of it. So based on that, we have now developed new ways to be able to understand what is the reference for this, called the World Geodetic System. So based on this understanding about the Earth, we are now, have developed a lot of information, very precise information as precise as millimeter level accuracy I can locate on the Earth based on this understanding. Next slide, please. So the Internet of Things is basically continuous sensing, monitoring, and interpreting the environment. There are a lot of scientific purposes this IoT is useful. Actually, it originated from the scientific domain, although a lot of scientific applications is not taught to you in colleges. Whatever you're doing, whatever the advances you're doing, either in computing, into IoT things, or cloud computing, all originated from the scientific domain. Started for the needs in the scientific domain. For example, I want to monitor earthquake. I want to monitor floods. I want to monitor forest fires. These were the pressing problems we were trying to address with IoT before it was put into the general domain. Right? So it is important that we are continuously sensing, monitoring, and interpreting the environment. Your air quality monitoring stations, for example, air pollution monitoring, water quality monitoring, all these sensing systems based on IoT, so that things can intelligently act and react by themselves based upon what is being sensed. So think and act is based upon, suppose you're measuring the water levels as floods are coming. Right? And suddenly you have realized that, okay, whatever the data is coming, it is coming every half an hour, one value of the water level. Now the intelligent part is that if the sensor knows that because some event is happening because of some pattern, I should now give data every 5 minutes. So the sensing system starts collecting every 5 minutes of data. That is the intelligence you build into these systems. So next slide, please. Human settlement detection. This is also an important problem to understand, formal, informal settlements. For example, in Mumbai, we have got many informal settlements. We want to understand what's the growth or the pattern, the shrinkage or expansion of these settlements, how they are moving, in what direction they are moving. Urban planners are very interested. You cannot do this, by using pure ground-based surveys. You would need geospatial information that is more synoptic in nature, means that is covers large areas. And that could be repeatable in nature. So every 10 days, every 15 days, I should be able to capture this information. Maharashtra Remote Sensing, they came to us asking that they want to monitor the mangrove forest. Many of you know what the mangrove forests are in Mumbai. So as you go to Navi Mumbai, right, you cross a creek, there is all mangrove forests. The government does a conservation of the mangrove forests because they are very critical to our biodiversity. It's a very crucial ecosystem. It stops the floods. It acts as a buffer for floods. But then a lot of these mangroves are being encroached. But then this encroachment happens in such a way that you may not be able to go there and find out what they are. They are little by little are being encroached for settlement purposes, informal settlements, formal. So what if you are able to monitor them every 15 days from a remote sensing perspective, from a satellite imagery, and be able to pinpoint them? So all these are problems for all of you, because nowadays all students are interested in AI machine learning. The buzzword is AI, ML, deep learning. All these problems are now being tackled with AI, ML, deep learning based approaches. There is plenty of literature talking about these things. Next slide, please. We are talking about hourly ozone prediction. This is also very important from an air pollution standpoint of view. Or hourly prediction of particulate matters, PM 2.5, PM 10, especially for cities like Delhi. How do we do this prediction over a period of time? And all these have connection to the geospatial problem. Everything is location based. How nice it would be if you are able to, for example, monitor these air pollutants over a city, say Delhi, and give an app to somebody and say, okay, you want to go to your office? You can ask the app telling, show me that route where the air pollution is minimum. But then this air pollution is constantly changing, right? Every 5-10 minutes it is changing. So you are dynamically rerouting this person. It may take slightly longer, but you may reach your office healthy every day. But then all this routing and understanding is all geospatial problem that we are looking at. So next slide, please. So estimating intersection delays from floating cars data. Uber, Google Maps, everybody is interested in these things. As you're sitting in a Uber, that which said 40 minutes is going to take, now there will be a red line on the road saying that it's going to take another 10 minutes more. There's a traffic jam. Crowdsourced data, where is Google is getting the data? You are giving it. You allowed it to capture that you are in a car and you're stranded there for 10 minutes without moving. Automatically some algorithm is capturing all this data, and if 20 people are doing the same thing, something is happening on the road. So the weight of the road is changed, the location, based on the location. And then we are able to estimate the new time, and then it will also reroute you to another location. Again, geospatial problem, geospatial connection. Next slide, please. So how does all this data make life better? I have shown you a cross-section of data sets that are all geospatial in nature. You're putting your smartphones, your wearables everywhere. You are moving, walking, geospatial. You are a sensor itself. Or only you should allow somebody to capture it. They will do a lot of analytics on what you do throughout the day based on it. So, next slide, please. So we're looking at food security, agriculture. This is one of the very important applications of geospatial data. Now, agri-tech is very top on the startups list. Government is funding startups in agriculture like anything. So many startups are looking at how do we provide optimal irrigation, for example. How do you provide nutrition, soil nutrition-based solutions, right? How do you do spraying based using drones? How do you understand these different soil types for different cropping pattern? How do you actually understand the phenological cycle of a crop, starting from the growth stage to the senescence stage, and how do you capture all the information related, all geospatial problems? So if you look at here, we're talking about crop mapping, different kinds of crops that are there. You cannot find out what are the different types of crops that are there in a particular area so easily because farmers have smaller lands, but then within that smaller lands, it's also still fragmented. They may grow chilies, a little bit of vegetables there, and some rice in it. We don't know what are the things. Especially in seasons like this, in rainy seasons where there's a lot of cover, cloud cover, normal sensing systems which are in the visible region, you cannot get any information if you're looking from satellite. But we have found out a way, if you are looking at more longer wavelengths, like for example in microwave, using something called a synthetic aperture radar data, it is night and day. It can go through the clouds. It is able to capture the information. And then you should be able to classify what are the different types of crops that are there. This is a very important information. For example, in US, they will do this crops type mapping scan all over the world, and particularly in Asian countries and those things. When they find out that a particular type of crop is not doing well, there is some problem, wheat is not going well this time or rice is not going well, they will do that there and then export it. See the kind of intelligence, crop intelligence, to be able to just finding out what is the type of crop that you have. You're able to find that information. Soils, soil health card, government is giving the soil health card. Every season or after every cropping cycle, the farmer is supposed to take some soil and then go to this soil center and then they will measure the macro and micronutrients, for example, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and other micronutrients, and then give them a card saying that this is the nutrition status of your soil. You will now to use some fertilizer or any of these things to be able to increase this. Or with whatever you have, these are the crops is suggested for you to grow this season. So what if the farmer doesn't need to do all these things and there is sensing systems or from space, from satellite data, I'm able to pinpoint and tell this is what is your nutrition. How amazing is that? From a satellite sensing system, I'm telling about the soils. I'm telling about the crops. I'm telling about the crop and crop stresses, diseases, pest attacks. I'm able to even measure what is the kind of chlorophyll content in the leaves. I'm able to tell what is the leaf area index. Yeah. All this kind of informations I'm able to capture from geospatial information. And then based upon my understanding of another critical parameter is called the soil moisture content. So the soil moisture content will tell us how much water should I put and when. It rained for last 3-4 days. Now we are in a dilemma. Should I now wait for 3 days to put water, or 5 days, or 10 days? Usually the farmers will go based upon their previous experience, based on thumb rules. But although it may look like that you would need water now, you may water it, but we have not measured what is actually at the root zone of that particular plant or tree. There is water still there at the root zone, you can't see it. But with sensing systems deployed, and we are able to now do that and then say that, okay, you want to water today, but you can still wait another 3 days. No problem, nothing is going to happen to your crop. You saved 3 days of water. The Nagpur Santra that we are so fond of, right, is growing because of groundwater and rain fed. There is no surface water in that area. So we have did almost a 3.5 years project in the Amaravati region, establishing the sensing systems, and we're still working. Next month I'm going to go there. We have got working with the Maharashtra Orange Growers Association. So we are trying to develop this nutrition assistant kind of a system. So what they are looking at is that they are having problems related to pest disease attack. There is a disease like a Phytophthora, gummosis diseases, which is soil-borne disease, and it gets activated. Either it is under-irrigated or over-irrigated. So there's a rainy season, a lot of water is there around. Now this starts, this virus, this fungi is going to get activated. And then the right environmental conditions are there, like temperature, relative humidity, all of them. It will start attacking the orange tree. And 1 year, the orange tree dies. You may be seeing that in a lot of these orange trees painted with some white color things. You'll be wondering, what is this all? They're trying to put some kind of a chemical just to ward off these things, but it's not effective. What is effective is to be able to efficiently manage irrigation. And then understand what is the vulnerability of this disease to attack. So again, machine learning, deep learning models based upon this kind of an understanding. Next slide, please. And we are talking about access. How is once this food is there, they should know how to move these goods along. This is the kind of a thing that we have struggled during COVID. Logistics was one of the biggest problems. There is goods available, but we don't know how to reach them to people because of various restrictions that were there along. Again, spatial information is going to help you. Next slide, please. And soil nutrition status, water quality, land degradation. These are all the kinds of factors that affect our food security. As you can see on the right side, we see how the land is getting degraded over a period of time. About 30% of India's land is going to be degraded in the next decade. This was an estimate made by NASA. So it means that we should now conserve what we have. We should be able to do protective measures to be able to stop the degradation. National Remote Sensing Agency in Hyderabad has already mapped all wastelands in India. We have now a very good understanding of how many wastelands are there, and the government is proactively trying to put this wasteland to use. New industries use wasteland area, right? You want to put a biogas plant or something, use the wastelands area in the villages, all this. Next slide, please. So then we're talking about, by 2030, maize yields may fall 24%. What you're seeing in the picture is the temperature that is changing all over the earth. You can see how the temperature in India also, how it is. While wheat yields could rise 17%. So this is because the way different crops or react to the heat. For some it is conducive, for some it is not. Sometimes we are looking at, suddenly there is greening everywhere. And we may think that there is no climate change. That greening is because of a different reason. Yeah? Because of the carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide, what happens is that plants do what is called as photosynthesis. How many of you remember photosynthesis from high school? Right? So what is happening? Photosynthesis happens in a pigment called chlorophyll, chloroplast. What does it do? It is a primary producer, means it makes food for itself. It takes in carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, water uptake from the roots, and sunlight, radiation. Using these things, there is something called the photosystem 1, photosystem 2, where it is many chemical reactions happen. It is able to produce these sugars. And then that sugar is sent all over to the plant for it to grow. Just like our body, whatever we eat finally turns into sugars. It goes into the bloodstream and sending everywhere. But then this kind of temperature rises are very harmful to this photosynthesis process. It will not be able to take this, and then the leaves could become very hot. It is unable to send away this heat. It's called photoinhibition or non-photochemical quenching. All that we will not go into the jargon, but why it is important that some of these crops, the yield is going to decrease significantly. Some of it is going to go, this thing. So what are we looking at? Digital agricultural platforms, AI for crop. These are the kind of solutions that we are looking at. Geospatial, Geo-AI plus knowledge graph, precision agriculture, and climate resilience modeling. Now, this is a very big important topic all over the world. There is a lot of funding available if you are talking about climate resilience agriculture, for example. Now we are developing new genotypes. Genes are being modified to respond to the changing climate. Some parts of India is in arid, semi-arid regions. Aurangabad is a kind of a drought-prone area, for example. We need those kinds of genotypes, means genes, genetically modified varieties of, say, rice, wheat, sugar cane, or anything that can thrive in less amount of water. But to be able to do that, it takes 10 to 12 years to introduce a new variety. Imagine. It cannot happen overnight. It needs, you genetically modify in the lab these seeds, these things, and then introduce into the land. You have to test it continuously to see what is happening under different environmental conditions. Then only you can say, oh, this is a drought-resistant variety of rice or drought-resistant variety of maize. But then we have become smarter. We are now using what is called as phenotyping, high throughput phenotyping approaches, where in 2 years time frame, we are in a position to introduce new varieties, but it requires a very comprehensive understanding, sensing systems to measure various traits exhibited by the plants based upon the environmental conditions. The traits have to be captured, understood. Accordingly, we go to the genes level and do the modification. We'll do that. Next slide, please. So, climate action, environment, how it is changing, how deforestation is happening. Here you can see on the left side, in the Amazon forest, the number of forest fires that are happening. Every year, so much of deforestation is happening just because of forest fires. And these forest fires could be natural nature or anthropogenic, because of people doing something in the forests. A lot of the California forests that you see is not because of natural things, but somebody doing something. They're camping overnight, they forgot something. And fires are happening. Then high tension electricity wires into this thing, catch lightning. All these are all reasons for forest fires. And we need to do the monitoring of these things. So, and then here on the right side, we are seeing how much this deforestation is happening. We are unable to recover these forested lands, but we can monitor. Every 5 years, Forest Survey of India comes out with a report that tells of the current forest status in India. where they map and monitor all the different kinds of forests all over India. And what are they using? They're using satellite data, India's own satellite data, and same algorithms that you are all conversant with. Maximum likelihood classifiers, and clustering, classification algorithms, all related to this, to be able to create this report. And you have to be very careful, and any small changes in that, there will be big hue and cry. If FSI tells we have lost 10% of forest, it will be all over the news. It has to be precise and well understood. Then similarly, we talk on air pollution, heat islands. Next slide, please. So here is an right side is an urban heat island. As you are, in Mumbai also, we feel there are certain areas, there are certain heat pockets that are happening, whereas other areas are likely to be more cooler than others. Why these islands of heat is generating at certain places? What is this insulation happening to the radiation? Why radiation is not able to get out of certain places, right? All this understanding, is required to be able to say that, okay, certain places if you go, there are islands of heat. That's why they're called heat islands. So using urban geospatial data, urban remote sensing data, several studies have been done to understand these heat islands and then solutions to it. Okay, put some water bodies near it, plant more trees around this one, all kinds of solutions to be able to overcome that. Next slide, please. So floods or earthquake mapping for relief logistics, disaster response and resilience. And another important area, an area I also work, our lab works on these areas. How do you dynamically or in real time map floods, earthquakes, monitor them and understand their relief or resilience? Drones mapping landslides or globs in Himalayas. So every few days, these days, we are looking at some lake in the Himalayan region is burst and a lot of people have died. And the village has been washed away. You all must be hearing those kinds of things. What are these? These are all called glacial lakes. Lakes that have been formed near the glaciers. These are the lakes that have been naturally formed. They are called moraine dammed lakes. It means the boundaries are based upon the automatic formation of the whatever is the underlying geology. But then what happens? Because the temperature is rising, these glaciers are getting destroyed and a large chunk of a glacier will fall into the lake. And suddenly the volume of the lake is so much that it can't hold anymore, the dam breaks. This is called glacial lake outburst floods. There are about more than 3,000 lakes in Himalayan regions that are having threat. Government is very worried. National Disaster Management Agency wants solutions. How do we actually monitor these kinds of lakes for this thing? So we brought this nice solution from Swiss because all that areas are all snow-bound, right? So we think that they know the solution to this. So they bought this, put a nice cameras everywhere and they didn't work. And then again the same thing happened. Now they have lost confidence in foreign products. They want indigenous solutions to be able to monitor these things. So, but then the problem is the area is very remote. You put a sensor, how will it relay data to you? You may use the satellite, the L-band transponder inside, but it is unreliable. Government doesn't allow any private satellite to be used for data uplinking in India. It is banned. Although there are US satellites and all, which can be used for this communication, in India it is banned. So now we don't have a solution. You may think about some sensing systems, I will use this protocol, that protocol, but how do you relay it 10 kilometers away, there is a village, I want to send this data. And these are all sensors based in an unattended environment. You place it, come back, that's all. You don't know what will happen. to this one. This is a big problem. It is also a geospatial problem. Next slide, please. So the challenge is when you're talking about this, disasters, automatic damaged area identification. As soon as something has happened, I just taken a satellite image, feed it to my system, and it should say these are all the damaged areas. That's all. I don't need to do anything else. Automatically, should be able to capture, say, these are destroyed buildings, highly destroyed, medium destroyed, low, less destroyed, and then the other categories of destruction happening, automatic destruction, the challenge one. So you'll have to search relevant image content from many sensors data. When Nepal earthquake happened, NRSC was tasked, because it is part of the UN Charter, to gather satellite data from 18 sensors. Imagine how much data we're getting from the Nepal. And then they have been tasked to do the mapping of the damaged area in the Nepal. It took many days because there are people trying to use the semi-automated methods, looking visually if this is damaged or not damaged, getting crowdsourced information. Now, by the time 1 week is over, if you give that information, it is no longer useful. How do we do it automatically that as an image comes, you automatically detected this damage? Next slide, please. So we developed many methods, some of the publications are there, to automatically, when you feed an image related to floods, and then say, I want to look at all the flooded fastlands or urban areas. You search for it, it will search the image content. And then we're able to bring out all the images that have this problem. So rapid image information mining. Next slide, please. So challenge 2. Challenge 1 is made difficult because of labeled samples. Everybody working in machine learning, AI, will know about the labeled samples, training data. Nowadays, deep learning is hungry for training data. But here is an example where you don't get training data. There is a damaged area, you can't go there and pick samples. You will only get only few samples. Now I want to build an excellent classifier that is able to detect this damaged information. So sparse data sets. So what are the methods in machine learning to work with sparse labeled data? So work with small sample training, but fairly good predictive methods. So how do you do transfer learning? Next slide, please. So keep on pressing. You can keep on pressing. Once more. Yes. So if you look at floods, before flood, after flood, earthquake in Haiti region, and before flood, before earthquake, after earthquake, and tsunamis in Japan, what happened before and after? Next slide, click on it. So what you see in the first is change in spectral based on the color related information, spectral information. In the second, what you see is this change in shape. Spectral probably remains similar, the probability distribution is similar. But in the tsunami case, what you see is a total change of it. There is a new class that is totally washed away. So, next slide, please press on it. Again. Yeah. So, what we want to do is, because after the earthquake happened or the flood happened, because I don't get good training samples, can I use data from what I know before earthquake, before flood? Can I take some samples, transfer knowledge from it into my target domain, and then do classification? This is called transfer knowledge. We do all the time. Our brain is very good at doing all this transfer of this thing. But computer doesn't know. How do we do this transfer learning, domain adaptation problems? Next slide. So we may be able to transfer prior knowledge. Next slide, please. But here in the tsunami case, when there's completely new class, you cannot transfer anything. There is no domain adaptation problems. Very difficult to do that. Next slide. So here is a Nepal pre-earthquake imagery, post-earthquake imagery. Yeah. So when we want to do this transfer learning, I'm still not done. Because because I have a lot to tell you, to motivate you to do as after you get out from this room. I want you all to be excited to work with geospatial data. Because that's the future. And I will tell you a secret, there are a lot of jobs in that. If you talk about this in your placement interviews, I guarantee you that you'll get a job. Okay, so be all ears now, okay? Lend me your ears. So, okay, good. So, so when you're talking about machine learning models, so I'm sure all of you must have used machine learning. You have used, what kind of algorithms have you used in machine learning? One or two from the audience? ML algorithms for classification. Anybody? You're all first years or what? No? Yeah. So there are any third years or fourth years here? Okay. So if you are using machine learning models, what normally you would do is the traditional ways. You will just, build a model for cars, build a model for trees, build a model for roads, traditional, simple models. But when you want to do a transfer learning, what if I use the knowledge that I know about some classes and create actually a new class? If I know forest, agriculture, and swamps, use that knowledge and then learn a totally new, different class. Sorry, it should be on this. So, yeah, okay. Next, next one. Previous, next previous. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So what we are talking about, go back to the previous slides. Yeah, leave it. So we are talking about capturing knowledge. For example, if you have earthquake hit urban areas, we know how earthquake looks like on an imagery. We know what buildings look like, or bridges or streets. What if I taken that knowledge and transferred it to learn a new class called urban areas destroyed? So Ukraine, lot of urban areas are getting destroyed. Over in the US, there are many agencies that are National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. All of them are very interested to map how this urban conflict is happening, how to map this thing. But you can't get samples there. So what we will do, we will look at samples that are similar in nature and then try to transfer that knowledge onto a new class. Next slide, please. So Nepal pre-earthquake imagery, post-earthquake. Next slide. Next slide. Pre-post earthquake. And then when we do this adaptation, what we do is we take the SVM and then modify it. We use a regularization approach because it is a maximum margin hyperplane classifier. We do a regularization. We create a constraint optimization, problem. Make it and then be able to transfer whatever we do. We want to transfer to the target application. And as you can see, for a few samples, like 2 samples or 4 samples, if you have it, we are able to get a good accuracy already. Just for 2-3 samples. You're working with small samples, sparse data sets. Next slide. Similarly, this is Srinagar pre-flood imagery and post-flood imagery. Next slide, please. And after post-flood and doing the similar things. Next slide. We'll be able to see how do we do the adaptation and regularization with small sample size. Next slide. So challenge 3. So I'm going to conclude in 5-10 minutes. So challenge 3, although you do all these things, if you don't know the spatial context in which people do not know where they are. Next slide. So keep pressing. So keep on pressing it. So I want to understand, suppose you are stuck in a flood, right? You are in a building, and you want to know what your options are. Is there a road that is still available without water? Can I go to my parking lot in this direction? Or is there a tree that fell there? These are all the things I want to understand, not just because. So from an imagery, can you ask such questions? I want to say that, show me what is there in my surroundings based upon the spatial nature of these things on an image which is static in nature. So we have built approaches where show all images from a particular sensor repository where built up regions adjacent to river. So click next. So if I want to find all images like this with some spatial understanding, all built up areas that are adjacent to a river, I want to know, I can search them. For example, externally connected to a stagnated flooded water. So you've got a water body that are externally connected to a flood water. Next slide. Next slide. Keep pressing. So we want both topological and direction. So imagine something we are looking at. I can draw a sketch on the system and say, retrieve all the satellite images where I have got a river like this, some built-up areas like this on this one, and it is in a particular direction I want to retrieve. So spatial context retrieval from imagery. So if you want to do that, click on next slide. So you can still search them. So here we use knowledge-based representation approaches. We use knowledge graphs, rule-based systems to be able to connect it to these things. Ontological representations. Next. The challenge 4 is once we do all these things, how do we read very fast? Because this is very important. If I give the same information after 72 hours, it doesn't make sense. I have to detect it, find what it is, give it very fast the results. So I have to use high performance computing. Next slide. So if you measure, keep on pressing. So if you measure the computational complexity of various segmentation algorithms, we'll be able to say what they are. And then we see the CPU time is much higher as the image size is increasing. Next slide, keep on pressing. But if you use the same things, what are the execution times, we will see that number of regions, as more regions are there, more time it is going to take. Next slide. So we use this kind of an approach to run on a GPU for oil spills. Mumbai coast also has got oil spills. Navy has recently put an IDEX challenge to find out all oil spills that are there in the Indian coast. They have their own radars installed. They want to know that the ship and then the corresponding oil spills that are there, which is very frequently happening. So how do you capture these oil spills? And then do it in real time. So we have used morphological related approaches to be able to capture and then run very fast on GPU systems. So it's a CUDA programming was done related to that. Next slide. So this work was actually done by one of my PhD students who was in Somaiya. So Ujjwala Bangale, she did this work, and we published in remote sensing environment. So, and then this is another approach where you use deep learning models on an embedded HPC device. And on NVIDIA Tesla KPU, on a K80, it just took 15 minutes. It took about 953 minutes to do the same things. Next slide, please. And here is another new innovation that we did very recently is how do you generate captions on image? But for flooded regions. So any area that is flooded, you take an image, feed it to the system. It will caption it saying that, okay, there is a road. There are accessible buildings along this road. There are flooded buildings on the west and eastern direction of this road. Automatically, it will give a caption. Imagine if I just put it sound, convert this text to sound. You can just listen, feed an image, and it will tell you what it is, what is happening around. So automated image captioning for disaster-related areas. Later, next slide, please. And then deep learning for multimodal data fusion, disasters, vision transformers, you process satellite drone imagery, and then also fuse with sensor networks, your textual data, your social media data, and all of them to be able to detect. Next slide. So here is another thing that we did very recently is for landslides detection. And then we did for OGC, Open Geospatial Consortium. This was based on a on a project mode for their, go to the next slide. Next slide. So here is the example data where we took data for an earthquake related to Hokkaido in Japan. Next slide. So here we take data from a synthetic aperture radar data, different polarizations, VVA polarizations, and then the landslide labels, digital elevation model, all of them data put together. Next slide. Next slide. To be able to create that. Here is another example where data for Taiwan has been used. We did a project for Taiwan where we were able to track the kind of landslides that were happening in our Kerala Wayanad, for example, very frequently happening in Taiwan. But they have an extensive sensor networks to be able to, and they share all their data. We were able to develop an interoperable standards-based web service for tracking the landslides. Next slide, please. And then using similar deep learning approaches, unit. So take data from pre-landslide, post-landslide, digital elevation model, slope, and other aspects. Developed what is called as a landslide network, deep learning model, and we're able to make these predictions. Next slide. So another pertinent example related to geospatial is smart cities and governance. So a lot of the work that is happening in the smart cities is based upon the geospatial information. For example, government is also actively working, PM Gati Shakti, Smart Cities Mission, Open City Dashboards, are all combining and collating geospatial data for various purposes. Next slide. So for spatial infrastructure for smart cities, you got a sensing layer, various IoT-based sensor webs, sensor-related crowdsourcing data, then data coming from various databases at municipal level, urban databases, and then use the analyticals and models, catalogs, and then finally, so many kinds of applications are built on this spatial infrastructure that is basically deployed. Next slide, please. So ethics of mapping. This is another important thing. So what we want to see is that now the US government has mandated that no satellite over the US will stay or capture more than this many number of minutes. No satellite in the US will come and capture data within, say, only at a 15-day period, not less than that. Because a lot of their secret installations are being mapped. They don't want this national security level-based infrastructures to be able to. So it is important that although we are doing the satellite thing, using these drones and all, also we have to consider the ethical and privacy issues and accuracy and accountability related to it. So risks is tracking individuals, profiling communities, a particular community's profile or individual or particular countries or targeted for surveillance. All these things are not very good. Next slide, please. So data ownership. Who owns this geospatial data? Now Google is very big in geospatial now. They've got so many cloud-based offerings. Earlier they were not there, but Google is now owns a lot of this data. Mapbox, they control these global base maps, which is not good. We want individuals to come into the fold, groups of communities to be able to openly exchange this geospatial data. And then what is happening? Local indigenous knowledge may be digitized without our content. A lot of this, indigenous knowledge happening in northeast regions are already being mapped, and then it is going out without our consent. That's why government organizations don't use Google Earth. No government organization uses. They don't use Google-related maps because we are worried that the data is going to go outside. We develop our own. DRDO has its own geospatial software. Defense Research Development Organization. NRC has got its own thing. They don't use anything outside. It is important to keep our own data with us. Next slide, please. So let us join hands, geospatial for public good. You are all invited to this initiative. Very soon, I'm going to send information to our hosts here. What we are trying to do, how do we are, bringing in a lot of organizations, institutions into this field and try to develop this geospatial for public good kind of an initiative where we would be making available these open source data sets that you can work on. As soon as a Mumbai flood has happened, you are the one, you will come in and you're able to do something about it. We will put the resources for you. We will together build a new kind of a, system to be able to address the local problems. Deforestation in Maharashtra, traffic-related problems in Maharashtra, agriculture in Maharashtra. All these things are all possible only with a lot of us getting together. Government can't do everything. Private companies will do it for their own profit, but we will do it for public good. This is the initiative that we are trying to develop at IIT Bombay. And very soon I will come back to you related to this, how we all can come together to be able to develop these things. We will develop toolboxes, visualizations, algorithms related to these things, and operational way of addressing these things. So already there are many, but they are all mostly from the government. Disaster management, UN Spider, Flood Hub, Watch, agriculture, Bhuvan, crop, ISRO. But as you can see, these are not coming from a consortium people. There are only certain organizations doing this. But we need a large workforce to be able to address the problems for India specifically. Okay? So let us get into that. So with that, I conclude my talk. I'll be happy to take questions.
Thank you very much, sir, for your excellent talk. Students, I think you have learnt a lot today. And sir has already told you that there are many job opportunities in this field. So be ready. Sir is giving you so many problems. So he has already called for a joint operation to tackle the problems in Maharashtra, in India. So thank you, sir. Now we'll invite the students, faculty, and all the audience for some open questions as well as any discussions on this. Thank you. Students, anybody wants to ask any questions from faculty?
If students don't have any questions, I will ask them questions. I'm a teacher. Questions comes naturally to me. So shall I ask? I'll pick random people and ask questions.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. I don't know. I'm building like agricultural website, okay? And suppose I want to access the live GIS data. How do I integrate the API onto my website?
Onto the website you want to integrate?
Yes.
So you can't integrate on the website. This website is based upon a client-server architecture, right? So at the server side is what you have to do. You never do processing on the website. Yeah?
That's what I mean,
Yeah,
like to get the
important.
API.
So at the server side, you should have able to use many APIs are there that work with geospatial data. Python has got many APIs, geospatial APIs. For example,
do you have any recommendations that like are the best?
PyGeo is there.
Okay.
You can use that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, please circulate the mic.
So how many of you are all conversant with pandas? Students? Python programming? No?
Sir, it is there from fourth semester onwards. We introduce.
Hello. Sir, I had a doubt regarding
Ask some math questions. Last, sir. You find the minimum of a non-differentiable function. Maximum minimum, right? I'm just joking. Okay, please.
Yeah, anybody can answer sir's question, mathematics? He was asking some mathematical questions. First years, second years.
Okay, one suggestion, if you all want to do good in AI, ML analysis, you should look at numerical methods, optimization approaches. Fundamental, very necessary. Unless you know these things, you can't do much in AI except clicking on TensorFlow things and copying code from ChatGPT. That's the only thing you will be doing, okay?
Any questions from faculty side?
Sir, I had a doubt regarding many times we have heard that in cyber warfare, satellite images are used. So, for a nation's security, how can one ensure that no other nation can use the satellitical image?
Yeah. So there's something called as watermarking. So geospatial data watermarking, both for vector and raster. So if you are able to create watermarks that are invisible in the image, only if you are and you're transmitting over the network, only the sender and receiver knows what is hidden where. Otherwise, that image that can, although it may looks very good, it is unusable.
Okay, sir.
Yes. So if it is a vector data, for example, it is represented points, lines, polygons, right? You are degrading some parts of this polygon in such a way, it's a very complex polygon, but you have degraded some portions of it, only 2 people know about it. And you may use this to calculate area, which is wrong. Some may use it, but after you know the key and after it is corrected, you know what is the correct area or the length of it. So there are many tricks to be able to camouflage it.
Hello, sir. I have a question that geospatial data is available on ISRO sites also, but how can we convert, like mostly students and many of the faculties also use our normal laptop, and how that we should downloading is easy, but how to convert it into readable format?
So the satellite data is usually available in, now you may already be conversant with what is JPEG, right? JPEG. You already know what is a TIFF format. But then when you're downloading satellite data, it is in the format called GeoTIFF or GeoJPEG. What it means is that the image has got pre-geo-referenced, means the image has coordinates given to it. This is a very major difference between normal images and geospatial images. You should download either a GeoTIFF or GeoJPEG images and then use QGIS. QGIS is an open source GIS software, geospatial software. QGIS. And then in that you can open these things and work with it.
Actually, sir, I have one question. You told that by spatial data we can measure the gravity. So what is the methodology? Means how we can measure the gravity by using geospatial data?
So there are specific sensing systems that are there in the gravity. I don't remember the satellite name, but it is going to measure indirectly. It is not going to measure the gravity directly. All these are all derived parameters. If I said I'm going to measure chlorophyll from space, I cannot measure chlorophyll. I am measuring something that is a surrogate related to it and able to map it. That is related. So the geopotential is actually being mapped to relate it to this one.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Thank you for enlightening us with geospatial data and its application. So my question is, you mentioned that 30% land will be degraded in next 10 years. So what is the a government of India initiative to stop that? And one point is in India it is uniformly distributed, or there is like a particular region where it is like somewhat is bad and somewhat is like very less. Thank you.
So arid, semi-arid regions will have a lot of degradation happening. Desert areas, a lot of degradation happening, right? So the degradation could be on different levels. Please have a seat. Degradation is based upon lack of cover, vegetation cover. Degradation is based upon soil degradation, lot of mineral content, undesirable mineral contents. Degradation based upon heavy metals pollution, lot of river basins around that area having this mercury pollution. For example, lead kind of a pollution is happening. So these are all degraded lands. And then salinity is another parameter. Soils that are having a lot of salinity are getting degraded very fast. One of the reasons also because a lot of the agricultural land is being converted to aquaculture, especially in the coastal areas. All the farmers are converting their area into aquaculture. They'll dig these ponds and then put these prawns, the tiger prawns, excellent export to Japan, a lot of money. But then all these ponds are getting diseases and they don't know how to control the disease. So then they'll have to close it, but then this land has already become saline. You have to wait for 4 or 5 years before it naturally regains its nutrients. The degradation. A lot of southern areas, you see this kind of degradation happening. Like that, in many forms, the land could be degraded.
Namaste, sir. Here. So recently, we have witnessed that there is a huge rainfall and very severe damage to farmers, animals, and entire villages in the part of Maharashtra. There are many applications of GIS, geospatial technologies, which works on real-time monitoring of the field, as well as you can say after recovery after damage, means that is a disaster management. So can we use this GIS to for early prediction of the flood or heavy rainfall and to predict the areas which get affected? Because many technologies is available, but they are not reaching to the public.
So the early prediction, what we exactly like you said, what we are talking is post-flood, post-earthquake, post-something. How do you, assess the damage, monitor it? But predicting what something is going to happen is based upon weather models. Your Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology that is there in Pune is the one that is developing all these models for all over India to make all these predictions. So they have this huge high-performance computing systems. They run what are called as general circulation models, in which there are certain boundary conditions very specific to India to be able to understand, make these predictions. So unless we have more accuracy in these predictions, we are not able to. Right now, we are not at there. We are not able to make such precise predictions. So now every time BMC declares a holiday because it's going to rain, my kids are happy, but it doesn't rain that way, that day at all. So we are not at there to be able to do that. But then hydrological models are supposed to be able to take various inputs to tell where could be the possible inundation areas given this amount of precipitation. So what they use soil infiltration sensors, because water when it flows, some of water gets infiltrated in the soil. So you cannot say the runoff is there. So basically flood models are modeling the runoff. So infiltration sensors, slope maps from digital elevation models, aspect map, direction of your slope, steepest direction, and then land use, land cover. All this get into these flood models, and then it is able to predict what is the inundation on which portion of this area more inundation is going to happen. All these things, it's going to make a prediction. So that is still possible.
Any more questions?
Hello, sir. Regarding the project of oil spill detection, So supposing a team of students is working on oil spill detection at some particular site, and the team does not have access to the geospatial data and all, are there any other methods with which we can detect actually the oil spill detection?
Usually the geospatial data is available, Landsat data is free, Landsat 8. You can find it. Modi's data we worked on is free Modi's data and Landsat data. Now Sentinel data 10 meters, it is also free over the ocean. It's no problem. You can contact coastal navy people, they've got radar data.
Okay.
They are willing to share, they want new applications to be built on it. They're looking for people to develop solutions for these things. Yeah, in Mumbai, Navy people will give you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. So, in one of the slide, you mentioned Landsat 7 satellite image. So, if I have taken other satellite images, so is there any impact will happen on the results for Landsat 8, Landsat 5? So, but chosen Landsat 7. But
yeah, basically the Landsat is actually a continuation of these things. So there is not much difference in the radiometric resolutions nor the spatial resolution. But you can take other sensors data, for example, Sentinel data 10 meters, or if you can afford, you can buy high resolution data sets. The high resolution data sets is somewhat better to be able to work for landslides, but if it's a large area, I would be happy to work with a 10-meter resolution, no problem. We should be able to. So basically, you would want to generate three-dimensional representation of it and generate slope aspect maps from the satellite data. So based on the steepest slopes, you do some analysis based for the landslides. Yeah.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, one more student wants to call. I think we will take it as a last question because of lack of time.
Good afternoon, sir. My question is, we talked about Navik, and I wanted to know why isn't India launching its own satellite like Google Maps or something? There were news like India were about to launch, but then it stopped. It completely dropped out of the idea or plan.
So Map My India, have you gone to that?
No, sir, I haven't.
Yeah, you should. Map My India is an Indian own way of doing the mapping, just like a Google. They also got an application,
Okay.
just like the Google Map application, where you can do all these things. Yeah, just look at it.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful talk. I hope students have gained a lot of insights. Now I would like to invite HOD of Electronics and Telecom to deliver the vote of thanks, and then we will have our national anthem.
Good afternoon, all. I, Dr. Jayashree Kanapuri, HOD of EXTC Department, would like to propose the vote of thanks. Somaiya Trust has a great legacy, which was founded by Padma Bhushan Shri K.J. Somaiya ji. We remember him today and thank him for dedicating his life to the good of society and building the Somaiya Trust for the service of mankind. Our Chancellor of Somaiya Vidyavihar University and Chairman of Somaiya Trust, Honorable Shri Samir Somaiya Sir, has further enriched this legacy by his great vision and unparalleled leadership. We thank him for being a strong advocate of education and for always encouraging knowledge exchange. I thank Dr. V.N. Rajshekhan Pillai Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of SVV, an epitome of integrity and knowledge, for initiating the Somaiya Public Lecture series and for his gracious presence in this event. Thank you, sir. I thank Dr. Surya Durbha Sir, HOD of CSRE IIT Bombay, for his enlightening lecture on geospatial data for the public good and way forward as a consortium. Sir, you have made our audience, mainly faculty and students, aware of many applications of remote sensing and the role of consortium in strengthening this field. We are thankful to you for delivering this great lecture. I thank our beloved principal, Dr. Vivek Sunnapawar sir, who is enthusiastic and always leads every initiative from the front for guiding us. Thank you, sir, for this excellent program of knowledge enhancement. I thank all the HODs of various departments, deans, faculty for participating in good numbers and making this event a grand success. I thank all the students for attending the program, and I hope they will continue to explore more in this field of geospatial data. Last but not the least, I would like to thank our supporting staff for working silently at the background to organize this event. They managed sound, lights, stage management, and many more things flawlessly. I would express special thanks to our SVV PR team, Mr. Ashish Tambe and Muskan Thakur, for coordinating the event, and the photography and videography team as well. Finally, I conclude by thanking everyone who has directly and indirectly contributed to organize this event. Thank you.
I request all of you to rise for the national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जनगण
Thank you.